every single person can get good photos. That's number one. Photos, photos, photos. Stop using your iPhone. Stop trying to figure out if you're not a photographer. Spend the money, hire a good pro. Airbnb is literally pushing high res, beautiful photos. I feel like number two, which is really easy also, it might cost you a little bit more, but you can be creative, is design and furniture, right? Furniture. There's a secret little gem that I'll give you here. There's a company called Host GPO. If you guys have not heard of it, it's called Host GPO. You can drop my name. It's a private membership club for Host. And this is where you get insane discounts on furniture. The third thing is kind of like a bonus, kind of a gem thing. And I think this is where the more luxury crowd should be paying attention to, is concierge service. The concierge team helps my guests with anything and everything they need. They want horseback riding. They want groceries set up in their house before they show up. They want a massage. They want in-house chef. They want travel, whatever they can imagine, restaurants. I got somebody's Super Bowl tickets coming up. Like, you name it, my concierge team will fully help the guest.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all. Real estate experiment. What is happening, y'all? Today, I have the pleasure of stepping into the lab with my man, John Hildebrand. Speaking of building a brand, the reason I personally reached out to John, because I'm like, hold on, this man is doing what I want to do and what I'm actively doing. And he's in our community. That's the SDR community. And you could see he even got a camera right now that's zooming in and out. He's all about the brand, and he's all about taking, I mean, we were talking about offline, how you expanded out into, the Arizona, the Phoenix and all that. So I'm just so curious, and California is where you came from. We're definitely going to chop it up today. And I wanted to give you the respect that you deserve, but, rolling out the red carpet for you, brother. Welcome, John. What's going on, brother?
Man, I'm honored. I'm not going to lie, man. You're super, super rad dude. We've been talking a little bit offline. Yeah. I feel like we've known each other for years now. It's all about the Instagram DMs, man. I'm telling you, there's some gold nuggets in there.
You know what the real hack is, John? The Instagram audio DM for the community.
That's true. Facts.
I honestly should just do that, because I do it a lot, but I should just sit around, do that, and build a team. So because I told you, I just like hugging people, kissing babies, shaking hands, and that's my core competency. So if I want to be efficient, if I'm honest, and I want to work in my genius, just like you guys, if you guys are anything like me listening to this right now, you should just sit, find cool people like John, and send them audios. You know why? Because when it's an audio, you have to hit play. Because if it doesn't look spammy, right? Because the thing is, like, people do DMs and it's like, hi, like, I get DMs all the time. And I'm sure you do too, because, looking at your following, you get DMs all the time. You can't even read them. It's spam, it's bots, right? But if you send that audio message, you got to hit play. Like, who this? Who that?
I'm not gonna lie. I grabbed my phone. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, this is gonna be weird, man. I'm like, honestly, I was like, do I hit play or do I not hit play?
Oh, really?
And
were you thinking?
Then all of a sudden your brain goes down a rabbit hole. You're like, hell yeah, I'm hitting play. What am I not gonna listen to this? And then right away, within like a second, I was like, oh, this guy seems cool. Okay, this isn't like some spam junk thing. I was like, this is cool. And you sound like a real dude. So I was like, oh man, I like this. I like this marketing tactic right here.
But honestly, it wasn't even marketing. I think it's good marketing advice, but it was just honestly, like, I was telling you this, John, like, when I connect with someone like, or someone that's a peer in the space, I mean, if you're in the SDR space or even real estate space, I think there's just genuine people who just want to just continue to learn, educate, and help others. Like, I had a guy reach out to me. And he was just like, man, I've been listening to your podcast, blah, blah, blah. And we got on a call. And we just hit it up. I'm like, what are you trying to do? What are your goals? And, I mean, obviously, I can't do that for everybody. But, when you come with genuine energy, it's reciprocal, brother. So, of course, thanks for making the time, because, man, I'm trying to be like you, brother. Tell the people what you got going on, man. What you cooking on right now, bro?
Man, I feel like I'm still in my such a growing stage of where
That's
I want to
amazing.
be mentally too, right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
I've been hosting Airbnb since early 2016, late 2015. I was living in Malibu at the time, and
Mhm.
I was a photographer full time. So I was
Nice.
traveling all over the place, all over the world. I could barely pay my rent. And somebody's like, hey, go to this website. You can put your house up there and people will pay you to stay in your house while you're gone. I was like, dude, that is the creepiest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no way this company's going to work. This is so weird. Why
Isn't that
would somebody
crazy?
rent my house? Honestly, I was like, no way. I don't want strangers in my house. Eventually, being broke and not being able to pay your rent was like, okay, I don't really have a choice. So I
Mm.
did it. And within like the first month, the first handful of guests, I was like, oh man, these people are cool as heck. What am I tripping on? And then it paid all my bills and all my mortgage. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to work all the time as a starving artist. Like, this is kind of cool.
Wait, that's crazy, man. That's really, it's funny. We were just talking about this, like about these
Yeah.
stories, right? Like, so what
That's
was
how
it
I got
like?
into the game. I mean, I
What?
was doing real estate forever. Like, we moved
Yeah.
22 times as a kid growing up. My dad was in life insurance, and every 3 years we would move to another city or another state.
Yeah, you and
So
I
I
both.
would,
It's crazy.
what's
I
that?
I moved around more than a dozen times as well as a kid.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's
So
cool.
that's probably why we connected well with being able to make connections. I had to make connections all the time.
Have to.
Father was
Yeah.
father was an engineer, but we moved around like different countries, like Europe
Oh,
and
wow. Cool.
Canada and stuff. But okay, so you moved around tons, 22 times. So then you got what? So you got into photography and like right away, or
Yeah, I got into
you were doing real
photography when
estate?
I wanted to drop out of high school and tell my parents I was ready to go work. And they were like, do you even understand what that means? The whole how much everything costs. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna work at like Taco Bell or something sometimes or whatever. I was like, no clue what I was talking about. My parents were like, you're not dropping out of that high school. So I ended up going to a private school freshman year or sophomore year, actually. And the teacher there was like, oh, you seem like a very creative, outgoing ADHD kind of guy. Like, why don't you pick up this camera and do a photo class? I could probably get you to graduate early. And that's all I heard is graduate early. I was like, sign me up. He gave me a camera and it was like the first photo. I was like, oh, wow, this is so much fun. It was film. So you had to shoot the film and then learn how to process it and see that
Mm.
whole process come out. And
Are you
to
talking about
me,
like
it
the
was
red
like,
room and everything? Like
oh
red
yeah,
room?
full
Yeah.
dark room. Like,
Yeah.
dude, honestly, that I was it was game on after on that. I was like, this is so fun. And I was a huge skateboarder at the time. So I would just go and take pictures of everybody skating. And I ended up graduating like 6 months early from high school. And that was like never thought I would what I was gonna do. But my teacher kept pushing me and he's like, hey, there's a really good photography school in Santa Barbara. You
Oh,
can you can do this for the rest of your life if you really want to. I was like, what? I can get paid to be a photographer and like actually do. And this was in 1998. Yeah, I'm old. I get it. Relax,
stop.
people.
Quit playing, bro.
And that was it. I told my dad, and he's like, there's no way you're going to be an artist. Like, what are you talking about? That's not even a job. I was like, well, let's just go look at the school anyways. If I like it, I'll go to college. If not, I'm not going to college. No way. It's not for me. And I went to the school and it was not a typical art school. It was like hardcore. You had to apply to get in. You had to show that you were willing to like, you know, work because it was like 7 weeks on, 10 days off, 7 weeks on, 10 days off for 3.5 years.
Why the 10 days off?
I think they know how artists' minds work, right? And they
Wow.
know if you try to go full semesters that most artists are going to get burnt out. So it was like 7 weeks. By week 6, you're like pushing it. By 7 week, you're done. You have 10 days off, and then you're ready for school again. It was the best program ever for
So
me.
interesting, man.
Yeah,
See, that's
it
I
was
love
killer.
that. I love that because I don't believe in I'm not. I promise I won't go down this rabbit hole, but I don't believe in the traditional learning system. I don't. I don't believe in it.
I don't
Like,
either. Yeah.
like I would just interview guys like you, learn the game, and I don't know. It's gonna be interesting because my wife's a super academic, and so am I. Like I went to school, that's where we met, but and she's super smart. But I believe in like mentorship, coaching,
Yep.
surrounding yourself with people like John. So you do the photography thing. So at that, it's still hard though. When you finish school, it's still hard because you got what, build clientele, reputation. So that's when you're like, oh shit, this is like, I got to pay bills too, right?
Yeah, and to backtrack a little bit, that ties into the real estate. When I went to Brooks College, they don't have dorms, they don't have apartments, they don't have anywhere for you to live. So on my own, I was like doing the math. I was luckily enough that my parents were helping me with expenses, right? So I did all the math and I'm like, hey, Dad, we could buy a condo and I could help clean it up and I can get 4 roommates because nobody has a place to live and they can all pay rent and I can live for free. And he's like, there's no way I'm buying a condo. This is crazy. I did all the math. I showed him. I had no idea what I was doing. It just sounded like a good idea. And he loved it. He's like, all right, I'll buy the condo. We bought the condo. I lived for free and I fixed it up. My roommates had a place to live. And then when I graduated from college with $115,000 in debt, we sold the house and I paid off all my debt right when I graduated and had money in my pocket.
School hacking. You just school hacked,
I just
bro.
school hacked.
Who's coined the term?
And I was
you heard it here first, John.
Yeah,
school hack.
School hack. I love it. Come on, kids, you can
so
school hack.
Wait, John, let me ask you, have you always been able to, it sounds like you're a very convincing person and I could just like, it sounds like there's no way. And then it happens. Is that, you notice a trend there? Like, is that something?
Yeah, for sure. If there's something that I really, really like and I'm super passionate about it, like my dad always taught us, like, doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter how educated you are. It doesn't matter the money. Don't chase the money. If it's really in your heart and your passion, you can make anything happen. And he would always tell us that. So if it got in my head and in my heart, I was like, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to figure it out. And everybody around me either going to tell me to shut up or they're going to be like, wait a minute, that's actually kind of genius. Let's do it. I'll get my way.
I mean, you're a charismatic dude, I'm sure. But it's cool. It seemed like you're very, like, I could sense that when you said it twice. I was like, oh, okay. John's got it like that. All right, cool. So that's so dope, man. So then the Airbnb how did that come in? Because it sounded like you were doing the roommate thing, then you did the school hacking thing. So then now you're out of school and now you're like, okay, I got to pay the bills for photography, right?
Yeah, and I started like, probably like every college kid on cloud 9. I thought I was the smartest dude ever. I'm going to get every single job. I'm the best photographer on the planet. I opened up a little photo studio with 4 of our friends and we literally sat in the office for like months waiting for the phone to ring. And we're like, why aren't we getting any work? Like, this is impossible. How do you get jobs? But once we got the jobs, we would do great. And they loved us and we would get another referral. But it was like, we had no clue on how to run a business or we were just like young college kids, like, okay, this might be a little harder than I thought, which led me to not be able to pay my bills or my rent or my apartments. And that's where Airbnb kind of just was starting.
Yeah. Isn't that 2015? Isn't that like when it, like, cause I was looking the other day, it hasn't been around for that as long as we think it has.
No,
that's literally when it came out.
It was really new, man. I mean, none of this was out there. No podcast about it, no books on it, none of that stuff. And it was like, I think it was a lot of shared rooms at the time. Still, it was just starting to get more and more into houses. And like, I did that for a year on my place and just never thought of Airbnb as a business. I never thought about it making money. It was just like, how do I pay my rent the easiest way possible and then still go follow my dreams as a photographer, right?
So how did you talk to us about the second, third, fourth, fifth, and then the scale? Like, how did that happen?
So I took like probably a year off of doing Airbnbs and rentals. Like I said, I never really thought much of it. I did it for like a solid year. And then I just kind of enjoyed life and worked. And I started another business and I was just insanely busy with that business for like 3 or 4 years or something. I was kind of Airbnb-ing here and there, but long story short, I came to a point where I needed like a major change in life. I was like, I just want to start something else. I was getting ADHD. I was losing. I was like, I need to change. I was in Malibu for almost 19 years at the time. So one day I just woke up and I'm like, that's it. I'm selling everything I own. I'm selling my business. I'm selling my house, my car, everything. And at the time, my parents had a family house in Utah, and I was like, I'm moving to Utah. I'm going to snowboard for a whole season and just kind of chill and figure out what I want to do. My brother was pretty much one of the #1 real estate agents in Malibu at the time, and still is an agent there. Yeah. And he's like, you can't just sell all this stuff and your house without paying a bunch of taxes. You better do something with your money. I was like, I don't know what to do with my money. Like, what am I going to do? I'd rather just travel. He's like, no, you need to invest in your money. You're going to have to pay all this capital gains and taxes.
Oh,
I was like, what are you talking about? I don't even. So he's like, why don't you and I invest in a property together? There's rumors on the street that they're building an NFL stadium in downtown LA. I was like, oh, wow, that does sound good, like a good idea. So long story short, man, we started looking at properties around Inglewood next to which is now the NFL stadium. And we found a house after like $1 million we looked at. And it was probably the worst shaped house I've ever purchased. It was like beyond remodel. I mean, we had to do everything. So we bought this house knowing we wanted to Airbnb it, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to like make enough money and see what happened. Right.
Was that a price point play because you said you looked at like 1 million houses, obviously. Right. But why after looking at that many, you're like, let's pull the trigger on that one? Like what made you, was it the proximity to the stadium, or was it the price point? You remember? That's
a great question. Honestly, I'm glad you stopped me to say that. It was multiple things. One, my brother is beyond perfectionist in the real estate world. Like he could walk into a house and within 2 minutes be like, this is not the right house. It's never going to resell. Or he'll walk in and be like, this is going to cost us way too much to remodel. There's no way. Or he'll walk into it and be like, oh, wow, this is the house. We can easily remodel this. And in 3 years, we can flip it and make a ton of money. And he can do all that in like 5 minutes. Like it's mind blowing. I'm like, I don't know what you just did. So,
sounds like experience to me. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. So this house that we finally got was over our price range by like 20 or 30%. But it was really close to the stadium. It was a extra bedroom. So it ended up being a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with an opportunity to gut one of the half baths and turn it into a full bath. So that was like really attractive. Then it had a detached casita, I guess you want to call it, but it was more of like a shed box, but it was on the permits as a casita. And we knew it was like too good to be true. It was everything about the lot was beautiful. The neighborhood was really nice. The neighbors were awesome. And it was so close to the stadium. And the word was just starting to get out more and more that you should buy in Inglewood because the stadium's going in.
Yeah.
So that was the one. We knew it. We had to do whatever we had to do, and we bought it. I think we paid $720 for it. And at the time, it was a lot of money. It was a lot, but
come on, tell us the juice, John. What is it worth today? Quit playing.
We sold the house for 1.2, I think, 1.15 or something like that.
How many years after?
God, I think we did it for 3.5 years. Nice. And the day we launched on Airbnb, we were almost 100% booked for 3 years.
No, okay, so let's talk about that. That location thing. That you cannot go wrong with location, can you?
Honestly, it came down. And I say this all the time, it comes down to so many things, right? Every little piece of the road makes a huge difference. We looked at the area, and granted, I didn't know anything about short-term rentals really, except by small experience. I knew I was comfortable in real estate. I was comfortable in design. My brother, same thing. And I knew we could figure it out. I didn't run a single number on comps. I didn't even remotely figure out what I could make nightly or nothing. All I did was look at the other Airbnbs in the area, and I couldn't find anything bigger than a 3-bedroom. and I couldn't find anything that was great photos, great design, and a great house. I couldn't find any of those. It was all 2 bedrooms, maybe a few 3 bedrooms, really bad photos, and no design. I was like, okay, in my mind, I was like, I can 100% do a better job than every single house here for sure. And that's all I went off. And so the location was obviously amazing. Inglewood's a great city and it was really close to the stadium. So parking, you could park at our house, ride a bike, get a taxi straight there. The airport was only 10 minutes away. And if you've ever been to LA, getting to the airport would take you years, and it literally took us 15 minutes. So we thought we would get a lot of like stewardess and traveling nurses and that kind of thing. And then if you wanted to go into Hollywood, it was 45 minutes with no traffic, an hour, 2 hours with traffic. And then if you wanted to go to Disneyland, it was only like an hour and a half. So the location was just insane. But at the time, Inglewood was still very rough and it wasn't a very safe neighborhood in general. It was going through a lot of changes, and that was a huge risk. We didn't think we would rent it that much at all for the first year because there was so much remodeling going on in the whole entire city. And we were proven wrong. We rented from people all over the world from the day we launched.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it was. Looking back, it's kind of crazy. It's like, we just went for it, right? We just listened to our gut and we're like, this seems like a fun project. If we make it work, we make it work. If we lose, maybe we learned along the way. And yeah.
But you know what's interesting? There's still always fundamentals, what you're saying, right? The fundamentals of supply and demand.
Yeah.
There's no more than 2 bedrooms. If the location is right, there's a need and there's a demand. And then, so it's because I always look at, when I have individuals step into the lab, I'm like, okay, what are the ingredients? And that was it right there. Sometimes we overcomplicate it and we don't even ask ourselves this question with we talked about wheelhouse, offline, price labs. That's cool. But like, are you taking just a step back and looking like, is there any product as such? Is it a good location? Is it designed better than any properties? Can we finish better? What is it going to cost us to finish better? Right? Like all these things that are not, you and I talked about it, we're not crazy with crazy analytics, but that's a real kind of, okay, I don't want to use the word basic, but it's an economic approach of like, okay, yeah, supply and demand. There's
totally.
a need. Yeah.
Totally. And I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not the smartest kid in the class by no means. I have dyslexia. I had major trouble in high school. I suck at reading, and then, it's like, but I'm a hard worker. And I knew when I went to buy this place, me and my brother were like, okay, what's the 3 scenarios? And I always do this with my place. Can I long-term rent it? If I have to, if I can't figure out the short-term rental, yeah, we probably can. There was a huge demand for long-term rental. So I'm like, we're probably going to be fine. If worse comes to worse, we can't figure out this Airbnb thing or short-term rentals, whatever you want to call it. Right. And then could we sell it and flip it? And that we knew we could do. We knew like, there's just no way the house is not going to go up with an NFL stadium right there. And that was our risk. Could we pay the bills to survive for a couple of years if we didn't rent it one single day? Probably. We'll figure it out. But I didn't want to pay those, and I knew in my mind I was going to do whatever it took not to pay the overhead. Even if I broke even, it was a win for me that month.
That's
luckily we were always putting money in our pocket. It paid for all the overhead, the construction, the taxes. Well, the last year, the taxes became extremely tough because I think it doubled, if not tripled. When we first bought, the taxes just got kind of crazy. That's why we sold it.
And let's talk about your transition. Is that like, it's interesting because I didn't know about your brother before we were talking offline. So now you're in Arizona, right?
Yep.
How'd you make that move, and why did you make that move? Like, as you gained traction by being in, LA, right?
Yep.
So then how did you make that transition to another state? Because sometimes it's a big question on people's mind. Like, that's a question on my mind. Hell, for me, I'm like, Julie's telling me, Ruben, stay in Atlanta, build your empire. And I'm like, looking at the grass is greener. There's, there's more. Come on.
Shiny objects.
I've been staring at it for too long, man. What's going on? I wonder, what does John do in this case? What I'm going to ask myself that. What would John do?
I do it to you guys all the time, man. I'll see what you guys are doing. I'm like, damn, I need to get a place in Atlanta. I need to get a place in Florida. I need to get a place in Bali. Like, what am I doing wrong?
What's the thought process though for our listeners too? Like, because we're all going through it. It's. I mean, I love real estate, so I see something like, oh man, it's so beautiful. I would love to have that. What's your thought process? Are you thinking like, okay, because we talked about this a little offline. Like, are you thinking like build an empire in my local neighborhood, I build my team, I build, like, what's your thought process? Or is it like, no, go where the margins are going to be greater because I know I'll be able to like rebuild, or I know taxes are going to be crazy in California and New York, so I'm going to run away and go somewhere because I can build an empire and a tax income, federal no income taxes. Like, what's going through your mind, and maybe what went through your mind when you went to Arizona?
Yeah, man, that's interesting. I thought about this a couple of times because I had this question once before, right? So
yeah,
I took time off. I went to Utah and just snowboarded, which I really, really needed at the time. I needed a mental escape. I was still running Airbnb. And one day I went on backcountry and I hiked for like a couple hours by myself, way far up in the mountains. And when I got to the top, I got service and it went off. And it's like, Airbnb noticed somebody wants to book your place for a month. And it was like $8,000, $9,000. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm literally not doing anything right now. I'm like walking up, getting ready to go snowboard. And I potentially just locked in a job, like basically a job.
Like a gig, bro. That's a gig. What?
And I just stopped everything. And I'm like, yep.
Wait, I love this story so much, bro. I need like, you know what you need? You need like a poster at the top of like a mountain and just on your phone. Like, badass. Dude, that's awesome. We're gonna get like a cartoon. We should design it to do that. I'm gonna send that. You're gonna put it on your next property where it all started. It is.
Yeah, that's a good sticker. And then cool. that's when I was like, how could I scale? And that's when I started thinking about scaling. And
so that was like a light bulb moment of like, how can I get more $8,000 bookings?
Yeah, because I was like, okay, I can't survive off this. There's no way I could live off one house. I was like, how many do I need to live off? Or could I get a part-time job and then have a couple listings? I'm like, okay. So I like, that was like, for me, that was it. And then I started looking around. California was just too gnarly, the taxes. I'm from Arizona. I was born in Arizona. My entire family's from Arizona.
There you go.
My cousins have been in the construction business out here for 25 years. I just had so many connections here and family. And I've been away from my family for 20 years, even though we see each other a lot. I just was like, I'm going to move back to Arizona. I want to be closer to family. And at the time, Arizona and Scottsdale was always in the top 3, if not the top 2 or 1 for best investment property opportunities, best investment for short-term rentals, best for flipping a home. And at the time, it still had really good pricing on houses. I mean, my first house I bought here was $350K for a 3-bedroom and a pool and a jacuzzi. And I was like, in California, that would be a shoebox. That's what got me. And I was like, all right, I'm going to move back to Arizona. I'm going to buy real estate in Arizona and I'm going to live in this house part-time and I'm going to travel and snowboard the other time and just rent it out and I'll just figure it out. Right. That one I started learning a lot more. So that one I did run numbers. I was using AirDNA, seeing what I potentially could do on the property. But that's what made me move to Arizona because I knew I could be in a comfortable zone and I had good support and I knew I could figure it out here instead of going somewhere where I didn't know anybody.
Yeah. How did you get into Brrrring? Because you said you had a little bit of, background of real estate. Like what made you be like, okay, like I'm going to start buying them dirty and flipping them nicely?
I learned it from 2 ways. One, for the viewers that can't see, there's a t-shirt my man's wearing, the bigger pockets. So I somehow stumbled across bigger pockets. I actually met, what's to do with the long beard again?
Beardy Brandon.
I just
Turner.
met him like the other day. Yeah. In the coffee shop. I was like,
Shut up.
you're the man. He's like, you're the man.
He's solid. He's solid.
Yeah, he's cool.
That brand, the amount of, I just want to give a shout out to Bigger Pockets. And if you guys want to just sponsor us too, I mean, shit, at this point,
what's up? Throw the guy
David Green, what's going on, brother? I see you on my stories. Holla at me, man. So no, listen, I was just on a shout out to my buddy Brian Hatcher, man. We were in a mastermind yesterday. We met because of it. I met so many friends from Bigger Pockets. Like I'm talking, like I just had my wedding. So many people were from Bigger Pockets. Like it's unbelievable. So you guys are, whatever you did, man, just keep doing it. But Bigger Pockets was so key for my beginning, and it still is to this day. So if you haven't tap in, I still check in now and then. I used to be way more. I listened to them for like 2 years before I pull the trigger. I was listening to all those stories and people like us who just making moves.
Totally. I was listening to all these podcasts and I was listening to their stories. I was like, all right, they seem like normal people.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. I'm like, I could do that. Like he seems like he's going to work. He just did that after work. Then he did. Okay, cool. Like I could do that. But yeah, it's real. And people are crushing it low key though. It's like you have some people that come on the show. I'm just like, dude, what? They need to get my man John on. John, you should have asked Brandon up. Get me on the show.
Yeah, you know who I am? Let's go. And I have to shout out my boy. I only know him through Instagram. This is why I say it too. But I learned a lot about real estate and holding on the properties and whatnot from Thatch. So Thatch is in Seattle. He's very charismatic on the Instagram. But this guy's a beast, dude. He's got like almost 1 million followers now. But he preaches the Brrrr Project method all the time. But what got me on him is buying and holding properties instead of flipping them, because I always thought maybe I was going to start flipping properties. But he was always like buy and hold, rent, buy and rent.
Yeah, I'm a holder.
Experimentation. I always experiment. And the reason why is I'm always trying to find the best tool, the best method, and the best vehicle to help me get to my end goal. One of the tools that we use in the short-term rental space is Guesty for Hosts. Now, experimentation, you know that I love to test things, and I wouldn't be sharing with you anything that I don't use myself. As a short-term rental superhost, Airbnb superhost, listings that we own and co-host at the same time, I can tell you that there's no better software that allows us to streamline our business. Right now, currently, there's actually 3 properties right now that are currently where guests are checking in, and I'm here with you, and I did not need to send in check-in instructions for these current properties, right? There are multiple ways that you can streamline your operation from on the front end and on the back end, from being able to create a website, from being able to get income reports for your team, to looking at statistics, to setting up auto reviews, to integrating your smart lock so that you don't have to sit here and send every day and remind yourself to send the passcodes for your smart locks. No, instead you can integrate directly the exact same way that you can actually send your cleaners a link so that they don't have to remind themselves when they need to go to cleanings. There's text reminders that go out. There's links that can go out for them. This is a tool that if you're looking to give a smooth experience for your team on the back end, it will truly reflect, and it does, for your guests on the front end. Make sure you go to host.guesty.com and use our unique link. Our unique link will be in our bio, in the show notes. If you're currently watching this, you'll see it right here at the bottom of my screen. Use this unique link so that you can tell Guesty that I sent you. You don't want to miss out on this. You need a PMS, property management software, in your business if you're looking to operate like a super host that you deserve to be, so that your guests can have the best experience that they deserve to have at your properties. Again, that host.guesty.com. Use our unique link that is here on the screen, in the bio, and in the show notes if you're listening to this, guys. Happy hosting.
So tell me, I've worked with some real estate developers, like low key, just to like learn with them. And I'm licensed in Georgia too, so I help them buy, help them manage the thing, and then help them sell. But like, I've never gone to a Brrrr myself, and I was thinking about it too. I'm like, man, because I was, You know who TJ to Johnny is?
think-
TJ.
Maybe
Another
I'm not
brother
sure.
crushing it in his
Okay.
space. He burrs. When he burrs, he uses that money to furnish his property. It's insane. So he'll burr it, then like cash out, refi, pay it off. Then he has enough for furnishing it, and then on top of that, he's making infinite returns. And I was just listening to him like, TJ, that's crazy, because he was on my show too. I'm like, TJ, you're doing what? Like, he's financing his furniture through the burr strategy.
Damn,
And like that's
dope.
insane. But
Yeah.
like for our listeners, including myself, because I haven't burred, we buy pretty turnkey, and then we do the whole value add, and then we do some co-hosting and stuff. But we're gonna do a really nice one in Florida. But what's the first thing I need if I'm burring, man? Do I need to make a relationship on Bigger Pockets with a solid contractor first? Like, what's my first step if I'm trying to burr? Find my agent, give him my criteria, start networking with contractors, getting different quotes. What comes first, brother?
Man, that's a good question, because I'm probably like not the best burr guy, but because like I said, I don't crunch every single number as much as I know I probably should. I listen to my gut a lot more than numbers, but with the burr, it's so important having the numbers. So like, give you an example, my property out here in Arizona, the one that got me really deep into the business at this point, was 350K. I figured it would probably cost me 50 to 60 grand on a complete remodel and get it up and running for Airbnb, right? So when I bought it, I knew that I wanted to do a burr, but I went ahead and bought it, not knowing who my contractor was yet, not knowing, because the market.
How'd you finance it?
I had cash at the time, thank God. So I just
Nice.
bought it outright, which got me a better deal. I think it was listed at 380 or 390, and we got it for 350. And just quick close, no inspection, no nothing. It was, basic inspections, right? And then I knew I wanted to do a burr, but I was still kind of trying to figure out all the numbers in the burr. So I started interviewing a ton of contractors. I would pick my cousin's brain, who's a builder, builds like multi-million-dollar homes and whatnot. So he's like, I can't touch this remodel. I would lose money. So I just kept picking his brain. And then I did a lot of the demo myself as I was trying to find contractors. I was like, I don't want to waste any time. The day I got the keys, I started ripping walls down, ripping all the tile out, the bathrooms. I knew I was going to remodel, and I knew I could do that part, right? So I just kind of did it. And I finally found a contractor at the time who specialized in remodels for Airbnb. And I was like, what? This is the coolest business ever. And he came in and was like, yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this and this. It's probably going to cost you about 175K to remodel. And I was like, oh, wait, what? I thought it was going to cost me like 50 or 60. And he's like, no, not even close. Like, there's no way. And this was 3 years ago at this point. So no COVID, pre-COVID, like it wasn't.
Yeah. No,
it wasn't like supplying. Yeah. And that was a huge wake-up call for me, because I was like, oh shit. And by then half the place was completely demolished at that point. I was like, well, now I don't have a choice. I'm kind of like, so I put a lot on credit cards, and then I ended up bringing my mom in on the deal. I was like, hey mom, kind of did not do the math right on this thing, but if you help me pay for the construction loan, I'll put you on a partner with the Airbnb income, and you'll be a partner, and I'll pay you back as much as I can first before I'll take any management fee. And my mom and I have a great relationship, and she was dying to do something. She had some money. Unfortunately, her father passed away, so she was like looking to do something, and it worked, right? I was super lucky. I somehow figured it out. She was beyond scared, let me just tell you, because she's like, how are we going to make all this money back? I'm like, just trust me. We will. I promise.
So it's kind of like introduction to co-hosting a little bit, right? I mean, yeah. So then next thing, building your team, like just fast forward, like what does that look like today? Like how many units you do? Like, what are you co-hosting? Are you owning? Are you, rental arbitraging? What does the portfolio look like?
Yeah, so I love single family homes. It's my favorite, to be honest. I'm huge on location. In Arizona, every single house I have has to have a pool. This is mandatory, and it has to be heated for the winter time. Those are like my major criterias, location. And I like buying.
Let me ask you, sorry, I don't know anything about pools. If it's
Yep.
not heated, what does that look like? Do you have to buy a separate,
Yeah, I learned that the hard way on 2 of my properties. It wasn't
There you go.
heated.
Tell-
I
tell
thought
the
we would
people.
be fine. And every single guest in the wintertime was like, is your pool heated? Is your pool heated? I'm like, no. And I wasn't getting bookings in like our busy season. And I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. So like I said, sometimes you just got to figure it out. And we had to get a gas line put in on one of our houses.
Oh, that sounds hella cheap.
Yep. And city permits. And yeah, I mean, it costs us a couple grand just to put a gas line in.
Ugh.
Then you have to get a special pool heater, which is like $4,500, and then you got to get it installed. So all in, you're like 8-10 grand to get pool heater.
You're
was-
kidding. Stop.
Dude, that was a brutal cost. But at the same time, I'm very upfront with my guests. One of my houses is on propane and it's super expensive. So we charge $75 a day to heat it at least. And guests have to pay it or we don't heat the pool. And it runs on my app. And every single guest that wants it has no problem paying for it. And it pays for itself. I charge probably 20% more on my nightly rent, maybe even more because of a heated pool. My rates went from like $320 average on one of my properties to about $520, $600 in the high season because of the pool and heated. Yeah.
Damn.
So it was like mandatory, basically.
Wait, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
So yeah, I still have one of my rentals in Malibu. And I just purchased a new build that will be done in August.
Is that the one you were walking through on Instagram the other
Yeah,
day?
yeah.
I'll post that for the group. I'm gonna check that out. That looked really nice, man. You were walking through it.
Yeah, it's my biggest home, my biggest project that I've ever done. It's super nerve-wracking, but it's been super easy because the builders are amazing. My contractors for the pool are amazing. I hired a full designer from day one. I bought the property. We had all the furniture in a storage ready to go. It was just really, really, really organized because I just know more now, right? And it's been pretty stress-free, to be honest, on this one, except nerve-wracking because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. How do you do finance new construction?
So that one, so the house that I'm sitting in now is like, I'm kind of house hacking. About a year ago, I purchased this house outside of Scottsdale, Rio Verde. It has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath as the main house. And then it had if you want to call it, it was a detached casita, but it was more of like a 1-bedroom with a garage.
ADU, like an ADU?
Yep. And it had insane potential. So I put an offer on in this house without even seeing it. And I finished the remodel and turned it into a full-on kitchen, living room, bedroom, full-on bathroom, shower, backyard. I went overboard, and the casita will hopefully pay for my entire mortgage and whatnot on that house. And I was lucky enough by doing that and doing a little bit of work in the main house, I was able to refinance. And this is where the BRRRR on this house came in huge, because I got all of my money back. I paid for all of the construction, all of the furniture, and I still had money left over, which let me buy the new house.
Love that.
So that was but now I'm in my slow season. It's not really renting as good as I want to because it's so hot. But I know it will pick back up. So only time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And why don't you tell the community about what your ambassador Airbnb? What does that mean, and what
Yeah.
what does that mean for them too if they want to tap in with you?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that, man, because I feel so right time, right place, everything that just seemed to happen. So backtrack a little bit. The first property that I bought in Arizona and I was remodeling, getting it going, I launched it in about 2 months of it being live. It was like booked solid. And the word around the world was like this weird disease slash whatever you want to call it was getting talked about, right, at the time. And at the almost the exact same time, Airbnb reached out to me and said they're hand selecting a few properties to add to Scottsdale that want to be a plus listing. And at first I had no idea what that meant. Basically what the plus listing was on Airbnb, it was like the luxury side of Airbnb. And they wanted to add a few properties in Scottsdale. They saw my reviews, they saw my listing, they interviewed me. And then I had an Airbnb designer come to my house and walk it. And she was like, I don't even know what to change. You pretty much nailed it. There's only a few things I need you to do. If you want to be a part of the program, we would love to have you. And I was like, yeah. And at the time they were like probably 20 to 25% more revenue. It's a different listing. And the layout's different, blah, blah, blah. Better
Really?
customer service.
Does that mean you have like is that like the Airbnb Plus thing?
Yeah, it was the plus thing at the time. Yep.
Oh, that's dope. I always wondered, is that so? That's a invite only VIP.
Yeah, I don't even know how they found me, to be honest. I was like, what? Why? And to me, it was the way I looked at it was, okay, I'm about to work with the giant now. Airbnb, the giant. I don't care what the terms are. I'm going to say yes to work with Airbnb and learn everything I can learn. So like I met with the Airbnb designer. They gave me a checklist of what guests are thinking, what guests want, and I just went for it and I just learned everything. And then like 3 months into the process because it took a while, the lockdown happened and they called me and they're like, hey, we can't get your place on Airbnb Plus anymore because I'm kind of rambling. So sorry. We can't get you on because of COVID. We can't get any of our people to show up there anymore. It's too dangerous. And I'm like, what? I just been busting my, what to get this going. What do we need to do? I can do this. And they're like, well, we need a photographer. We need to finish this and this. And I'm like, I can shoot it. I've been a photographer my whole life. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'll shoot it. So then I shot my own place, fully photographed it the exact way they needed it. They love the photo so much. They're like, okay, we're going to go live. You're the last house that's going to go live. And then no joke, a week later, Airbnb had to let go, 30% of their employees, and the entire Plus department got shut down.
No.
I was literally like the last house to go on the platform. It was so nuts, but it's still live. It's still Plus. It's still there. I think they have like 1 employee in the Plus department, but that opened up so many doors. I was locked up. I was bored out of my mind. They saw that I could shoot. They saw that I had a design, and I just kept in contact with every single one of those Airbnb people I met, even if they got laid off. Fast forward, Airbnb was trying to figure out ways to help hosts join the platform during lockdown, right? They were trying to come up with other strategies to get people. And one of their biggest problems was so many people were joining Airbnb to be a host. And as they would go through the process, would get way overwhelmed and stressed out and then drop off and then never go live. And they couldn't figure out why people weren't going live or they would go live and not get any bookings. And they're like, we have to fix this. It was like a lot. Long story short, since I did all the photos, the photo team reached out to me and they're like, hey, there's this new opportunity. There's no money involved. We have no idea where this is going to go, but they want to start this thing called the Ambassador Program, which the Ambassador Program would be Airbnb would link you up with new hosts who join the platform and need like a mentorship. And you would look at their listing and help them with questions and help them get live and ready for bookings. And I was like, sure, why not? And you know, a lot of people around me was like, oh, you got to charge, you got to get money. And like I said, perfect storm. I was in locked up. I was bored out of my mind. And I was like, sure, I'll do it, whatever. And that was a pilot program. That's how it started. And then I started working with people at Airbnb. We went back and forth with ideas. We went back and forth on what they were trying to do. And the program has now been live for a little over a year. And basically what it does is every time a new host wants to join the platform, Airbnb connects us to a handful of hosts. Now there's like, I think a few hundred of us now around the world, which is awesome.
That's great.
And then we get connected. And then in my dashboard, they can message me just like a guest. They reach out to me and be like, hey, I just got connected with you. I'm building out my listing. How do I find a photographer? Or how do I write a description? How do I, you know, it's the basic questions. And then I send them Airbnb links. I send them, you know, YouTube videos or whatever. And then I kind of just help them through the journey. And basically it was just like being a big brother, kind of just giving them a hug, making sure they're okay. And they would launch, and the success rate with Airbnb skyrocketed. These people were all going live, and they were all getting bookings within like 48 hours. So Airbnb is like, whoa, this program is working. And it's been so much fun. Like I can't even, the community is getting bigger. The support from Airbnb is getting better. And it's so rad to listen to some of these people that will reach out to me a few minutes later and like, I'm getting another one. I'm a super host. Yeah. And that's kind of the program. And then I obviously I get paid from Airbnb. I get a referral fee for everybody that signs up, and it's all over the board, but it wasn't so much about the money really. It was just kind of, I wanted to rub elbows with Airbnb, and it ended up turning into like a good job.
That's sick, man. So yeah, because I see you got a nice, you know, platform, and it's really nice that, you know, having seen that on there, I was like, oh, that's really dope, and I'm sure that really helps too. Because are you thinking of going into some of your own coaching as well, now that, or is that something where, you like doing it through Airbnb?
It's so funny, man, because when they first reached out, they were like, we want you to host webinars, and we want you to help. You know, because I do like a weekly webinar. We're upgrading it right now, so I haven't done any, all right. But these weekly webinars where Airbnb would send all these new hosts to, and I would teach them this formula for an hour. And it might not look like it now, but public speaking and talking in front of people is by far the scariest thing for me on earth ever.
Nah.
And I was like, yo, I can't do the webinar. That's where I have to draw a line. And one of the guys over there, shout out to Raj, him and this girl, Tori, in Airbnb were like, I don't know, man. I think you could do this, and we'll help you. I'm like, I can't do a webinar, man. I'm too nervous. There's no way I can do this. I'm like, I'm not a very good reader. Like, they're like, no. We'll give you simple script. And then you can kind of, once you start getting okay with it, you'll just free flow it. I'm like, okay. So they guided me through it. I did a couple webinars. I was literally sweating. I was so freaking scared, but the feedback was overwhelming from these people. And I never thought I would ever do that. Now I was doing like 3 a week, and it just made me more and more comfortable, which led me to like what you always talk about is like repurposing content, right? I was getting the same questions over and over and over again. I'm like, not like it was annoying. It was just like, there's got to be a better way for me to answer all these questions. This is impossible to keep up, which led me to, oh, well, if I can help one person, could I help 20 of these people and get more money eventually from Airbnb and show my worth? Now, can I go get more leads? So that's what led me to like going really aggressive on starting a YouTube channel and more aggressive on my Instagram.
Yeah, dude, you're killing it.
And then I still get nervous sometimes and whatnot. Like, I'm not going to public speak, so don't ask me, people.
Except for Experiment Nation conference coming in 2020. Just putting that out there, guys. Yeah. We put out in there in the universe, I'm going to be that guy. No, you can't, man. I'll walk out with you, bro. You got this. No, man, I honestly love your energy, and you're a good teacher too. So it's kind of like sometimes the blessing is there and we don't even see it. And clearly you're doing a good job because everybody around you is, is benefiting from it and recognizing it for it. And I can tell by even your social media platforms, it's like people are really tapping in. So you got to keep it up, man. Don't be shy, brother. You got to keep putting out your genius out there into the universe, man. Just like you did, man. Look. Oh my gosh, guys, we overstayed our welcome. I'm saying that because out of respect for your time, brother. Like I could talk about this for
I
days.
wasn't even paying attention. I was just in the zone. Sorry. I just
You're a ton of no, you're good, man. I just always, if I give you, because I know your time is crucial too, and so, but I want to let Experimentation get a chance to tap in with you, man. I discovered you on the gram, right?
Nice.
But for everybody else, where else can they tap in with John to see what you're doing, and how can they get in touch with you, man?
Yeah, man. I love Instagram. I've always loved Instagram as a photographer. It was such a great outlet to just express myself and be free. So I'm really active on Instagram on my personal account, which is John Hildebrand Sicky. If anybody knows how to change my username to just John Hildebrand, please reach out.
What do you mean? Wait, hold on. You didn't mean to do that? What do you mean?
Some squatter sitting on John Hildebrand and won't give it to me. 0 posts, 0 followers for like 8 years. I've been reaching out to this person. They never respond. I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, you're hilarious. He said some squatter. I'd be so pissed.
Ruben, full squatter. I swear. I'm like, dude, you don't even like this name.
So you just hit with the you're hilarious. Hildebrand is, it's nice though. Hildebrand Iski.
Yeah, and my nickname has been Sicky. Like my
you're good.
Nicknames
You're
and
good,
stuff, right?
You're fine.
So,
You're fine.
Yeah, John Hildebrand Sicky. I'm super active on Instagram. I'm trying to do a bunch of reels right now and just whatever. And then check me out on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Hildy Homes.
Hildy, great branding, by the way. Who does your stuff?
Mostly me.
Not for the low?
Yeah.
No, this is
my
great
logo
stuff.
was from actually shout out to my boy Cisco Adler. You guys might hear of him. He used to be a really, really awesome musician. Well, he still is, but
Nice.
Used to do Cisco and Swayze back in the days, if you guys remember. Nice. He actually, when I was starting this brand, he just emailed me one day. He's like, "Hey, I made you a logo." And I'm like, "Dude, you're the man. This is perfect for me." And I kept it ever since.
Dude, I love your brand, man. And like, you guys check out his reels. I'm on his page right now. John Hildebrand Bransiski, is that how you say it? You guys gotta check this guy out. I mean, he's because I love short, punchy information. We actually just did a little SDR summit around that. Just straight to the information, give it to the people straight. And I think you're doing such a good job, man. So I'm rooting behind you. I got the follow on deck and just following your journey, man. And until Experiment Nation conference. Hey, I just put that onto the universe. I actually haven't said it out loud, but it's something that I'm very passionate about, bringing people together and just having a good time and just building community. I love that stuff. All the other stuff handles itself later.
I'm going to my first one for
Really?
short-term rentals. I used to go to so many trade shows in the fashion business.
Yeah.
And like hundreds of them a year. And this one's in, what is it? By Hostfully. I think it's by Hostfully in Austin.
Oh, okay.
Coming
in
up.
Austin. Okay. I'm going to one in Miami with my buddy Michael Shogun.
Oh yeah, that one looks amazing. I almost did that one too.
Yeah, that's my buddy. I got to stay close to my peoples, man. They take good care of me. They put me on. But yeah, that's awesome, dude. I mean, listen, you and I are gonna hit it up when I come down, and you know what's crazy? I've never been to Arizona, bro.
Damn. It's amazing. Arizona is a secret. I mean, if you like golfing, hiking, food, sports,
check.
There's so much out here, dude.
I'm tripping, right? I'm tripping.
Yeah, you're tripping.
So we're gonna, and you know, it's funny. You talk about snowboarding. I've skied, and I always admired snowboarders from afar because they're like the cool kids. So I know I've done it a few times as far as like falling on my ass, but one day I want to like be the cool kid, and I want to be like John, bro. Basically,
let's go. I'll take you snowboarding, man. I've been snowboarding since a little kid. I love it so much, dude. It's so fun.
Hey, listen, before you drop, give him one tip, man, out there, because we want to be like, when we're like trying to launch or trying to do something in the short-term rental space, you being an ambassador, you being an owner, you being you're just doing it. I want to think, what would John do, right? So when you think of like, man, I'm trying to get more bookings, everybody's trying to get more bookings, everyone's trying to stand out.
Yep.
What's like 1 or 2 tips, man, that you want to leave us with? That's like, yo, guys, just try to do this. Try to get this thing right? Because I always say you're just one experiment away. So what's one thing? Maybe it's not the thing that gives them the home run, but maybe it's the thing that gets them closer. Is there anything that comes to mind?
I'll drop 3.
Ooh,
right?
See, over deliver. See, that's
So there's two that every single person could do. They could figure out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single person can get good photos. That's number 1. Photos. Stop using your iPhone. Stop trying to figure out if you're not a photographer. Spend the money, hire a good pro. Airbnb is literally pushing high res, beautiful photos. Bite the bullet. It will pay for itself quickly. Airbnb has an amazing photo department now where you can reach out to them. They'll find you a photographer, but photos, that's number 1. Everybody can do photos. Nowadays, there's just no excuse, right? And you hear me preach about that all the time. I feel like number 2, which is really easy also, it might cost you a little bit more, but you can be creative, is design and furniture, right? Furniture. There's a secret little gem that I'll give you here. There's a company called Host GPO. If you guys have not heard of it, it's called Host GPO. You can drop my name. It's a private membership club for Host. And this is where you get insane discounts on furniture. I just remodeled my entire house from West Elm. Every single thing in here was like West Elm, super high-end designer furniture. My entire kitchen was from Williams Sonoma. And I'm telling you, I spent way less than if I were to go to like Amazon and all these other stores. And it looks different. So you go to Host GPO and tell them that Hildy Holmes or John sent you. It's a private membership. They'll set you up with an interview, and I can't tell you all the secrets they have in there because you're not allowed to until you're a member. But trust me, that is game changer, and it's way easier than you think now to get design and quality furniture. Those 2, I feel like everybody could do pretty easy. The third thing is kind of like a bonus, kind of a gem thing. And I think this is where the more luxury crowd should be paying attention to, is concierge service. So I partnered with a concierge team. I don't take money off the top or any of that stuff. The concierge team helps my guests with anything and everything they need. They want horseback riding. They want groceries set up in their house before they show up. They want a massage. They want in-house chef. They want travel, whatever they can imagine, restaurants. I got somebody Super Bowl tickets coming up. Like, you name it, my concierge team will fully help the guest. And I feel like that's going to be the way of the future. A lot of people are going to want this 5-star concierge service in your rental.
Where could one? That's such a good tip. Where could one search for that? Is that like a 5-star concierge Airbnb, like, or do you just create the partnership and then let them know that you're doing Airbnb for this address? Like, what does that process look like?
So the first spot I would go check out is my friend Kristen Brown. She is a beast. She comes from the very high-end hotel space. She started a company called Concierge. That's who I use. They're expanding all over the United States right now. Even overseas. I just got her, she's doing a thing for a friend of mine where they're doing a huge cruise and they're going all over Italy. So like pretty much she can figure it out. They're expanding like crazy. If you just go to Concierge, and I think it's concierge.com or whatever, let them know I sent you, say my name, her or her team will reach out to you. But they're expanding like crazy all over the place. I'm pretty sure they're in Florida. I would probably start there first. And then if they can't help you, then I would get on some Facebook groups and start asking people. I personally prefer to partner with experts in that space and trying to take it on myself. It's just not worth it. That's just my opinion. Let the pros handle that. It's way easier and better service at that point. Yeah. But those are all add-ons. I mean, I can't even tell you how many guests have reached out to me like, that was the best experience. We had chef at the house. It was so easy. All the groceries were put away. Like, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe this has happened. And it's all reasonable price. It's not like you can't afford it.
And John, I can't even think of you literally just gave us gold before we just ended this. So I'm like, okay, this guy just gives gold. One last thing on that, the implementation of it. Do you put it in the house, or do you put it in the listing prior to them booking, or once they book, upsell them? Just kind of a sequence wise. How do you kind of insert the vendor in? I'd just be very curious.
I love that. I'm still trying to fine tune this, right? I'm trying to find better and best ways to advertise it, because I think it's really new in the space still. Not everybody thinks of an Airbnb or a short-term rental to have concierge. It's a very
you're
new concept.
100% right. It's super niche. Then I know one person. I know Rachel. Shout out to Rachel Gainsborough. She's based out of Georgia, is crushing it in the luxury rental, and she's talking about, like, she said something about I still haven't figured out. I gotta go back to that episode. She said helicopter something, and then I just blacked out. I'm like, no.
Oh yeah, we do, like in Malibu.
Yeah,
I hire, like, a lot of my friends are pro surfers. When they're not on tour, they hire some of the pro surfers to teach the kids to go surf. Like, what kind of experience is that? It's mind blowing. They'll come rent my property over anybody's because of that experience. So the sequence is, I put it on my website. I say we have 24-hour concierge service, right? And then in my listing, in the descriptions, I say that we partner with a concierge service team. And then I have my own, like, website or link, right, with the company. So if somebody books my place, ends up booking it, I have an automatic email through Hospitable, gives them all the information. And then right there, it says, if you need anything extra concierge service, you can fill out this app or the link, or you can call them directly and they'll help you through that process. So I try to hit it at all angles. I'm trying to find other best ways to show it on photos in the listing.
Yes, I've seen that, by the way. And I'm like, I saw somebody who did something really, it was like a surveillance thing. Please no party. It was a really cool cartoon of, like, an officer and a girl. It was, like, really cool. But I was like, oh, dude, why are we not? I'm like, why am I not tapping into that? Like, doing an image of, like, the house rules and, like, setting expectations. And because sometimes you don't even think about that. I'm like, yo, why didn't I think of that? So that's,
I mean,
give me some juice.
I'll give you one more bonus. Why not?
Okay.
I'll give one more bonus just because I love chatting. Another one, it more and more people are doing this. I've seen it, but it definitely helps me. So the guy Optimize Danny, go check out Optimize Danny. He has a thing on his website where you can buy a floor plan of your space with all the exact furniture and layout of your space. It's game changer. Yeah, it's mind blowing. So I send them a handful of photos of my space, and I send a video of me walking through my space. And, the designer designs it. You can look at my listings, and it's like the blue couch, the TV, and the guest can really see the flow. And I put that at image number 5, sometimes image number 6, and it definitely helps you get
stop
booking.
it. How can I get that link later offline, or if you want to send it our way, or send it my way? I want to check it out.
He's a beast, and that was one of his, like, add-on options or something. I think I can't even remember how much it costs, but it's worth it for sure. It's cool. It's super cool.
Optimize Danny is what I should look for.
Yep.
Damn. Listen, man, John, man, we're gonna do this again some other time, man, because I just appreciate you, man. I'm so glad I reached out, and I'm so glad you decided to, take a good chunk of your time out of your afternoon to just share with me and Experiment Nation what you're doing and how to help them as well. And now we know how to tune in to what you're doing, and we're gonna stay tapped in, because, brother, when you over deliver, we want to return that favor. So, man, listen, I already gave your handle out. I just want to make sure, is there anything else we could do right now? If you want to send people a specific place somewhere in your ecosystem, in your world, is there anything in last shout out you want to give them, or where we should find you, where we should tune in and tap in?
I mean, keep tapping into everything this man's preaching and talking about and interviewing people, because I'm telling you guys, I'm always learning. I'm always learning. So keep learning, listen to this guy, listen to a handful of other people, and just be a good person. That's it. Like, just be a good person, be a good neighbor, and the community will return the favor. But yeah, check
Go
me out on the
give him a
gram. Hit me up on the gram.
John
Don't
at
blow up my
Hildebrand
DMs for no reason, please.
Itzky.
Yeah,
Hit
yeah.
him up. Tell him you heard him here. And John can't thank you enough, brother. Just like that, we are out.